During the 90s, NASCAR was probably one of, if not the fastest growing sport in America, and with a lot of popularity came a lot new big tracks, them being Auto Club, New Hampshire, Las Vegas, and Homestead. But there is one I left out, one that is probably the most hated track in NASCAR history. This is the story of the 2022 Texas Massacre. This story starts off with the 2022 All-Star race for the NASCAR Cup Series. Last year, the race was pretty bad, being on the Texas, which has never really been the best track. We start off with the heat race, and it's some of the most boring races I've ever watched. After 1 or 2 laps, everybody was single file, and whoever started that train ended it in this All-Star race. Well, the main event has gotta be better, right? Actually, no, it's the exact same snooze fest from earlier, until we get to 3 laps to go on stage 2. Probably the least favorite driver in the Cup Series at the time, Kyle Busch. His tire blew while crossing the start-finish line, and one of the most popular drivers, Ross Chastain, rear-ends him, flying his car into the air, taking out another fan favorite, Chase Elliott. So what's so bad about this race? Most of it was really boring, and we had one big wreck, which is actually kind of exciting. So what is the worst part? Well, you gotta get to the finish to see that. And now we finally gotten to the end, and Ryan Blaney cruises to a victory.
Caution! Really? We're gonna go back racing, boys.
Normally in NASCAR races, if the caution goes out on the last lap, since it's the last lap of the race ends right there and Ryan Blaney would have won. But in the All-Star race specifically, the race has to end on the last lap. And with the team celebrating and Ryan Blaney putting his window net down, they have to run it back for 2 more laps. And the window nets are really hard to put up from inside the car, and Ryan Blaney doesn't think he can do it. NASCAR could let him go to pit road and let his team help him do that, but no, that would be stupid. But Ryan Blaney says he's got the window net up and he's ready to go, although other competitors are saying that they can see him holding the window net. Anyways, the race gets back started, and Ryan Blaney does eventually win the race a second time, which made many fans say Ryan Blaney should have gotten $2 million for his troubles. If you thought that was bad, then you have not seen the other Texas race from 2022. It's September 25th, 2022. Probably the worst race of the century is about to take place. And the race starts and everybody gets single file immediately, resulting in minimal passing. And oh, Kyle Busch just spun. Oh, and another spin. 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 Somehow it's so unenjoyable racing, Goodyear's tires could not even keep up with that, causing a record-setting cautions for Texas. Cody Ware had an extremely bad accident, going straight into the fence, getting airborne, and almost hitting garage entry. Since NASCAR started measuring the G-forces of impacts, this is the hardest impact that's been measured in NASCAR history. Ware broke his ankle in the crash and had to sit out the Charlotte Roval race. And the worst part is, that wasn't even the worst crash of the weekend. The second caution of the race was for Alex Bowman, spinning and grazing the outside wall with the rear end of his car. Alex Bowman suffered a concussion from the light impact and would have to sit out most of the rest of the season, only coming back for the final race, making many fans question the safety of the next-gen car. And the last controversy on this race comes on the second-to-last caution. Remember when the 19 spun? Well, that set out the caution. And while under caution, William Byron spun Denny Hamlin out into the infield. And what was William Byron's punishment for spinning somebody out under caution? It was nothing. He got no punishment. NASCAR said that they were too busy focused on the 19. But that makes no sense. If somebody spun somebody out under caution, you'd think you'd actually notice that. Speaking of, right before this race, they put in-car cameras in every single car, so they would definitely have eyes on him. He does not get a punishment. Oh, William Byron did get a penalty, and entering Talladega, he's out of the playoffs. Well, that's good. At least he got what he deserved. The penalty was deducted after Talladega, which puts him in the playoffs for the round of 8. Well, one more spin happens. Tyler Reddick wins his 3rd race of the season, and that's it. Bad NASCAR officiating, bad tires, bad racing. but we should have seen this coming. In 2017, Texas was redesigned. Although meant to be for the better, that's the worst Texas has ever gotten. The first 2 races of Texas Motor Speedway, the whole field crashed on either the first or second lap. So saying it's the worst it's ever been is definitely saying something. And it was so bad, NASCAR actually brought back the track North Wilkesboro to replace its All-Star date. That hasn't been on the schedule since 1996. And although I wish Texas would be a good racetrack, I don't think it ever will. But the most recent truck race there was actually a pretty good race. It was probably the first time I've actually enjoyed a Texas race. So, maybe Texas is on its way to being one of the best tracks on the schedule. But I personally do not see it. The track will maybe lose in second date within the next decade, and I don't see it coming back to the good track it once was.
Recently, there's been rumors that Texas is being revamped again. If those rumors come true, hopefully the racing will become better, but Texas now has competition because only a few hours drive away is another NASCAR track, Circuit of the Americas, which has had massive fan turnouts compared to Texas, who struggles to get more than 20,000. But some tracks just don't stay forever. Another track in Texas, Texas World, would stop holding NASCAR races in the 80s and would eventually be abandoned altogether. And Texas Motor Speedway might just be another NASCAR track off the schedule.